Welcome to Hanging with Hilari. Come on, Dee Dee, we've got a great show. We've got my peasants down below, my lurkers and lovers. We are hanging with Hilari. Come on and let's hang. But first, give a roaring welcome to my co-host, David Maldo. David. My Ed McMahon, my Paul Schaefer, and we have tonight's guest, my good friend, Dan Thurmon. Let's give a round of applause.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry about that.
There we go. The crowd's a little sleepy. It's all right. It's a little rainy here in LA. And Dan, you're in Georgia. Where in Georgia are you?
We're in the Atlanta area and, kind of one of the suburbs. But yeah, Atlanta's a pretty happening town these days. And we're at our studio, which you'll see shortly.
Oh my gosh, you guys wait until you see the studio. It's
awesome.
Insane what they've done. David, how are you doing?
I'm good. I already messed up the show. We're supposed to do our intro and then bring up the guest. I opened right to the guest. Hot mess today.
We were so excited we couldn't wait. So,
I'm a big Dan fan. I'm a new Dan fan, but I'm a big Dan fan already. This is going to be a great show.
Dan fans.
Likewise, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. So now for those of you who don't know, I've known Dan for over 30 years. We met when we were 2. And he has been on the craziest journey, which was one of the reasons I want to bring him on, just because he's been an inspiration in my life. He inspires others for a living. He does all these incredible things. And I'm just so thrilled that you're here, Dan. And I said I built the show for selfish reasons so I can hang with my friends. So I don't get to see you very often because you're pretty busy.
Likewise.
So for those of you who are joining us, we've got people in the audience. We've got Eliana who's here. Thank you for joining. And for those people who are new to our show, welcome. Hanging with Hilari's every Wednesday, where I have my friends, artists, photographers, actors, designers, composers, musicians, and we talk about our incredible journeys and the twists and turns we take in our careers to stay creative, to keep the lights on, and how things are very rarely a linear path, which Dan, you're kind of an expert on non-linear paths.
True.
I would say you've twisted. I mean, would you have imagined when you were a kid you would end up where you are today? I mean, what was your dream when you wanted to be when you were like 7? What was your childhood dream?
Well, I didn't have a childhood dream. I had just this abundance of energy and I didn't quite know what to do with it. And so I guess, I don't know. I think that my journey certainly has played out in ways that are far more remarkable than I could have ever envisioned. And even as that progressed and I began to experience some success in my life, Hilari, I set goals. I set some big, bold goals. I had people in my life who were experts in that and great, role models in terms of how to achieve bold goals. But I think it was more for me about principles, really identifying what I loved, what resonated with me as true and fun and creative and joyful and purposeful. And I was very lucky to find that at an early age, because when you know that resonance, when you know that special feeling that you get when something is right up your alley, then you begin to recognize it in all kinds of places. And I can honestly say that the journey of my life is far more remarkable than any goal I ever set.
Well, oh my gosh. I don't know. You've set the bar pretty high. All right. For those people who don't know Dan, let me give you a little intro on who we are talking to this evening on Hanging with Hilari. So Dan Thurmon is a keynote speaker, author, and the founder and president of Motivation Works, whose clients include Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, Johnson & Johnson, Marriott, Microsoft, Walmart, and many, many, many more. He's delivered thousands of presentations across 6 continents for world leaders, Fortune 500 companies, and even troops on the front lines of the Battle of Iraq and Afghanistan.
Only 6.
Oh my gosh.
I'll have to fix that.
And the photos and stories of you in Iraq and Afghanistan are absolutely incredible. So thank you for doing it. I know you brought smiles to lots of people's faces who needed them. In 2011, he was inducted into the prestigious Hall of Fame, an honor that less than 200 speakers have received. Dan has served as the president of the National Speakers Association and is the author of 2 books, Success in Action and Off Balance on Purpose. Dan and his teenage daughter Maggie have become social media sensations on TikTok with 3.5 million followers, with over 800 million views and a total of 142 million likes on TikTok. That's quite a lot of people. And Dan's hobbies, which you'll see, include acrobatics, golf, mountain unicycle, and of course, the flying trapeze. So let's give another round of applause to Dan Thurmon and your very incredibly impressive accomplishment.
You're too kind. Down in front, down in front.
But Dan, you are a visual performer. So I think the way to truly get to know you is you've got an outstanding highlight reel. So, and then we'll get to talk a little bit more. But David, let's go to the screening room and we're going to see just a couple minutes of Dan's highlight reel. And you'll get to see just a little bit of what Dan Thurmon does. So awesome. David, let's roll the clip.
Let's do this.
Juggling is not about making great catches. It's about making perfect throws. The moment I look down to confirm I'm making great catches, it's done. This means for us, in the midst of this crazy life where everyone around you seems to be directing you toward your hands, looking down at the drops and saying, we need to fix that problem and this problem and solve this, and that will never work. It's incumbent upon you as a leader to redirect that conversation. But what is it we're really trying to achieve? That's what I mean when I say keep looking up.
Outstanding. I thought you'd feel at home here in your ballroom.
Yeah, this is familiar, Hilary, but it's also a little bit unfamiliar because the last time I was in a ballroom speaking to an audience about this size was almost exactly a year ago. In fact, a year ago yesterday. So my last 3 live presentations were March 7th, 8th, and 9th. I was in Israel, and then I was in Nashville, and then Dallas, Texas at the Gaylord Convention Center, which was empty. There was only 150 people in this like massive convention center and hotel. And what I realized is like everyone else, the world had just changed and all the dates fell off the calendar. So whereas normally I was very accustomed to rooms like this, and this is a beautiful one. David, I see you up there too. How you doing back there, buddy?
Social distancing. I'm social distancing
you are.
back here.
That's really nice. You look good there too. You remind me of the grumpy old guy from the Muppet Show.
Yes. Waldorf and Statler.
Totally heckle from up there. That'd be great.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah. David is the furthest thing from grumpy. David.
No, he's not. Yes, you're right. He's such a sweetheart.
So now, Dan, since we have known each other forever, I dug up a photo of, I think it was taken the first time I met you. You see this very polished corporate motivational speaker who's standing before you, but the first time I met Dan, he was dressed like this. David, can you pull up the photo?
Yep.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Oops, hold it up there for a second. We met.
We got to get a good look at that.
At the Georgia Renaissance Festival.
Exactly. And that's my good buddy Philip Solomon with us, Hilary. And kind of my soul brother. Philip and I were doing a show together. And we performed together, you and I, in Georgia, but then also in Maryland.
That's right.
You came up to Maryland for that festival. And then also I saw you at the New York Festival as well. I wasn't performing there, but you've made quite the rounds as a Renaissance girl. And I think that's probably where that seed to ride a dragon was initially planted. Is like you've been thinking about that for a long time, haven't you?
I have. And, it was, I was in my 20s at the time and I was an actor, and in New York or in Georgia, that usually young actors had three choices. Either they worked at Disneyland, they worked on cruise ships, or they worked in the Renaissance Fair. So for me, it was so much fun. I got to run around. And the one thing, I mean, David and Philip are phenomenal technicians, which you'll see in a bit, like juggling and fire and torches and unicycles. But the thing that pulled the crowds, they always had the biggest fair at the festival or the biggest crowds, was because of your pattern, the stories you told in between. And you had such a gift, I remember back then, of these incredible stories. So now I'm sure like your wife was looking at you like, all right, are you going to be juggling at the Renaissance Fair shirtless forever, or are you getting a job? How did it evolve from juggling shirtless and having all the girls drooling all over you at the front row, all the young wenches, to becoming a corporate polished?
Oh my goodness. No, I think the seeds for my career were always inside of me. And that, what I mean by that is I always was fascinated by personal development, self-help, how do people get better? I always loved like deconstructing how something works and then reteaching it. And what I mean, I would watch my teachers in my class completely frustrated because I would be thinking, wait, I could teach this lesson so much better there. And if I'm ever a teacher, I want to remember this so that I can approach it much differently. And so I just kind of looked at the world in that way where I tried to express things. I really loved language. I loved writing and I loved helping people. And so entertainment was a way to do that. And I really didn't know that this other profession of speaking existed. So I paid for my college business education, growing my business as a performer from a one-man show to a bigger production company where myself, and then ultimately my wife and I, Shay and I, were producing bigger events, bringing in a lot of other entertainers or musical acts, doing corporate events or even festivals ourselves. And so we did that. But then I learned in 1993 about this whole world of professional speaking and the National Speakers Association. And that's when it just totally rang true because I had already been kind of writing motivational content using juggling as a metaphor. And my thought was that I would be an entertainer with a little bit of a message who would be kind of like, corporate friendly so that I could work these corporate events. What I didn't expect was for the teaching component to really take hold and that huge journey of going from an entertainer with a message to a speaker and author and leader who just so happens to also have a lot of entertainment value.
Ton of entertainment value. And you're an incredible teacher because Dan actually taught me an important life skill that I don't know if anybody else could have succeeded. I'm a pretty good student, but David, you want to pull up the first picture and you can't exactly see what, nope. That was the finale picture.
Oh,
We gave it
sorry.
away. That was the day that Dan and Philip taught me how to eat fire.
Yeah, this
And
was in Maryland.
it was in Maryland, and to put live fire in front of your face, you could see that it's not very dramatic picture. But when I was younger, I actually performed this with the rock band Powder with Phil X and Ninette Terhart, and then my solo show I did just because if you have a skill like fire eating, why not? So I do have the picture from the Powder show. So now we can show the pink wig, David, there.
Yeah,
So.
fire
Yeah.
eating is just it's the best party trick, right? I mean, that's how I made friends at college. I kind of like popped into fraternity parties and would just immediately get a crowd around me. It was so much fun. In fact, the way I met my roommate, we've become lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Before I met my roommate, I was at the dorm room before he was at the dorm room, and I just come from a show, so I had my fire eating supplies with me, and I put them in the room. And then I left because I had to go to another show the next day, and I left my stuff there. Well, they were in like this toolbox, and he was looking for a tool, like a hammer or something or a screwdriver. And he opens this up, and he sees in this box torches and candles
And
and oil
kerosene.
and fluid. And he's like, what is my roommate into? And so he starts asking around, and all the people on the hallway are like, oh yeah, he was eating fire last night. It was really cool. Anyway, but I need to teach my kids how to eat fire. I think Maggie might be into that.
It's, oh gosh, yeah, she'd be into that. Your daughter, both your kids are fearless, so it's one of those things. Yeah, once you get out of the human fear of putting fire into your face, the rest, yeah. And you taught it so well, and it's something that I haven't done in many years. But if there's a
The
special
main lesson is just don't inhale. Really, that's the main thing about the
or
main
you'll
thing.
end up like Dee Dee, my dragon, at the opening scene.
Exactly.
That's what happens. So Dan, you are the king of pivot. So you pivoted from the Renaissance Festival to being a corporate speaker, to being a keynote speaker. And then, like you said, the pandemic hit and people aren't gathering and, these massive crowds for your performances and your shows. So explain to everyone what you and your wife Shay have done to take your online coaching and speaking business to the virtual world.
Yeah, well, I had always been very reluctant to do anything virtual or online. I didn't do webinars because, we're performers. We love the energy of a crowd and we love being in front of people. And so when that was no longer the option, the reality was people needed help more than ever. And so I thought, well, how could we distinguish ourselves in the same way that is congruent with my brand, which is like an elevated experience, the wow factor, more than people expect. And so we repurposed our video room, our video studio, which we're fortunate to have, into a live broadcasting facility. So,
Amazing.
I mean, I could show you around. If only
I
we
would
had
love
like
it.
a tour guy. I could take you on a tour.
Hey,
If we had
David,
like a little tour bus
can you
or
call up a
something.
tour bus for us and let's go on a tour of Dan's studio?
All
Sure.
right, that sounds good.
I have an app. It's just like Uber, but it's just for tour buses.
All right.
Here we go.
It was almost seamless. Almost. We
That
almost
was my
got it.
bad. I was a little too quick. A little too quick. I'm getting better though.
Except
All
we're
right.
rocking and rolling in the bus here.
All right, so we are in the first of three spaces for our facility. This is our main stage, or our action room, you could call it. This is where we have the production graphics. In fact, we did a show in here today for hundreds, or actually over 1,000 community bankers from 43 states. Matthew McConaughey spoke after me. It was like a really big deal. So it's
Wow.
crazy that you could do this kind of stuff from your home base, essentially, without airplanes, without the travel, without the time and the energy that it takes to actually get there. So while I'm looking forward to getting back on the road, this is pretty cool. We call it DT Livestream. And this is my book, Off Balance on Purpose, which has also been extremely relevant this year because, all of our foundations have been totally rocked. And so, for example, like we think about the way we used to work and live and parent and learn and eat and entertain ourselves. And every foundation that we thought was so solid has been revealed to be totally precarious or off balance. And looking forward at that uncertainty and the way things continue to play out, these waves of change are just increasing in their frequency, but also in their intensity. And so we're not going to make uncertainty go away. We're not going to make change go away. The question is, how do you position yourself on top of it? So watch very carefully, and I'll show you what I mean.
Wow.
Okay, now Hilary, David, if you look closely, you'll see I'm not balanced. I'm balancing. I'm constantly making adjustments and corrections, and I'm working really hard. And after all that work, I'm still right here. I'm still in the same place. I'm just a lot more exhausted.
Right.
And this is how most people deal with change, right? When their world is rocked, immediately they retreat and they try to protect and they say, how do I stay safe and keep more of what I have or keep more of what I'm already doing? And then others understand that out of every uncertainty is that opportunity if you can go off balance on purpose, if you can see the purpose or see the direction and then lean in. And that's sometimes very scary to lean into the uncertainty. But, You know, balance isn't what you get, balance is what you do, making
Mm.
those adjustments in real time all the time. And so that's kind of what we've been helping people with. We'll come back to this room in just a bit because there's a lot more to unpack. But let me show you another. So
Love that
right
we
over here we have
all these rooms.
the classroom, okay? And so I like to think about the way I teach as really hitting on all three cylinders, mind, body, and spirit. And so while the action room is where I can teach in more of a physical form and use my skills, this is where we get a little bit more cerebral. And I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole with you today, but this is a great place of inspiration where we actually do have our own teaching board. And when we think about uncertainty, the whole notion of uncertainty is when you feel uncertain about some things, you can feel like you're uncertain about everything and your past is now irrelevant. Truth is just a question mark and you're starting over from the beginning. But really, at any point, there's a lot that you know for sure about your past and about yourself, and there's a lot that you don't know, and all you ever get is some certainty. And so this is the journey of our lives, Hilari. It's like we're always in these new moments, but it's not just us, it's everyone, that we try to figure it out as we go. And life can either be an amazing journey that unfolds for you, or you can be fearful about what's coming and trying to protect against it. So these are some of the strategies that we've been teaching. Number one is to claim the certainties that you do have. Like, what do you know for sure about who you are, where you've been, what you've learned, what you love, who you love? You know your name, you know your life is yours to live. You know it doesn't last forever. And so we need to get really busy doing what does matter. So that's always a great grounding strategy, is to get back to what we know for sure. And then we can embrace the unknown, which is, I like to think of it as, instead of thinking of your future as uncertain, think of it as unfolding. It's just continuing to unfold like a great story. And, you know, imagine if you couldn't enjoy a movie or a book unless you knew the ending in advance. That would be ridiculous. And yet that's how a lot of people live their lives. They're like, I mean, caught up in this incredible story that's unfolding, and you're the hero, like you're the central character. But no, if I can't have a guarantee of success or know exactly where this is going, then I don't even want to play. I don't even want to show up. You've got to show up. You got to be present in those moments and realize you can shape the journey, but you never know the exact outcome. You
And
never
even
know
the
exactly how it all works out.
And even the disappointments, right, Dan? I mean, like that, it's never a
Yes.
linear line, like we said, that even on the journey, that the unknown, I think sometimes people hit one roadblock and they're like, oh, this is a horrible path, nothing's working, it's a failure. And they don't realize sometimes it's just a road bump on the path.
Well, think about what we've all learned this year and how all of our learning curves have been compressed and what we've been through. And that's the notion that everything counts. All your road bumps and failures are, in fact, your biggest gifts if you can see them that way. And then the third strategy, after you embrace your unknown, is to create more certainty. And the way you do that is not just saying, hey, this life is just this huge, huge test that's bombarding me. You say, no, I'm going to test myself. You're going to test yourself and say, even though this change is happening, it's all around you, it's intense, it's scary, I don't know exactly where it's going, but in the midst of all that, I'm going to like self-prescribe this journey of learning that's going to take me on this upward trajectory. So no matter how it turns out, I'm going to be better. And that's kind of what we did here with the studio, but it's really what everyone did in their lives, shoring up relationships, really focusing on their health or their spiritual center and trying to grow in terms of their spiritual disciplines and faith, or whatever it may be for
Doing
you.
live streams like in a tour bus.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
live
That's-
streams at a tour bus.
This is the story of the Hanging with Hilari show. That what I'm seeing on the whiteboard, as you're right, I'm like, that's our show.
It's
I
your
know.
show.
It's
It
Right?
really is.
it really is, because like we don't have a lot of people watching live right now, but people find us later. So it's like there's always a part of me, it's like, there should be thousands of people watching this because like you're incredible and amazing and I want them interacting. But I know that I am only at like one step on this journey and I don't have certainty. Where's the show going? I don't know. I just have fun every Wednesday.
Well,
Yeah, well, let's
that's
have
our
fun right here.
certainty. Our certainty is that we're having fun and we're creating great content.
There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. So guys, so we're here in the library now. So this is the third space for us. This is the heart center. So if we think body, mind, and spirit, this is where I connect with my audiences more soulfully, more personally, one-on-one. I might pull a book off the shelf and tell them a story that unfolds from that, or take out some kind of a way to illustrate for them an important point about uncertainty and the fluidity of our future. But
Wait, I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to interrupt that. I know you're in the middle of a pattern. Take that again. So explain to everybody what that is. Yes, because
so this is called contact juggling.
Yeah.
And it's very different from normal toss juggling because the ball's always in contact with your body, right? And when you do it well, it looks effortless. It looks amazing, as if it just simply happens, and it's easy. The ball floats around on its own, when in reality, this is actually really hard to do to make it look so fluid. Like most things in life, right? Like acting or singing or music or artistry or any kind of even physical skill or technical skill. When you're a master, it looks so easy anybody could do it.
Right.
And then they try it and they realize, no, wait, this takes a huge amount of effort. And they realize, I don't want to put in that effort. And so they throw that all off by saying, oh, you're so talented. When we know, no, we put in the time, we put in the work to get it right.
Although, Dan, I have put in more hours than I should have, and I should be an extraordinary juggler at this point. I remember I spent a good amount of my 20s trying to get, and that, yeah. Anyways, I interrupted your patter. Please continue. You're on a roll.
No, I mean, this is a conversation. It's not a show. But I guess I always thought about art and learning differently because of my mom, who was an artist. And we grew up in Chicago, Illinois, southwest side of the city. And my mom had taught herself how to paint. And this is one of her paintings here, probably a few years old now. But we needed to furnish our house in Chicago. We didn't have much money. We lived in this little Polish neighborhood, and the houses were so close together that you could literally touch two of them like this. There was our house and there was Grandma's house right next door. And my grandmother ran a drapery business, and my mom ran her art studio and taught lessons and produced paintings and did pet portraits by mail and showed her work at all these different places. And she always told me, it doesn't matter what you do in life. What matters is how you do it. Mm-hmm. And that any vocation can be a work of art. It's a personal expression. And so I was a hyperactive kid. I know that will surprise you and your viewers, but it's totally true. Very hyper. I still am at 52 years old. But I found at a Renaissance festival in Bristol, Wisconsin, at 11 years old. That's where my journey started.
Me too. I started at Bristol too.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I actually saw a juggler one day who was so incredible, and he invited me over after the show, and he said, "Do you want to learn?" And I found that channel for my energy, and I started working with him and performing with him, and I didn't get good super quickly, but because I wanted to validate his belief in me, his expertise, and as a mentor, I put in the time and I put in the practice. And Renaissance festivals are just great places to learn because you get so much stage time, so many repetitions and trial and error, and it's hard and it's dusty and it's sweaty and it's stinky and it's just real, right?
And drunk, a lot of drunk patrons rocking around. And I'd have to say, I have to thank the Renaissance Fair for doing improv for 8-10 hours a day solid. I was shy and awkward and stage fright, and you do that every single day. And like that, I feel like I could get up in any situation, improvise because of that training. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Continue.
But I remember when I first got the hang of juggling three balls, like a new idea just lit up in my brain. I was like, oh, wait a second. And you know what it was, right? How do you do four?
How do you do four?
How do you do four? So I wanted to grow, but I tried it the same way I knew how to do three, and that didn't really work because the fourth ball changes everything. Let me show you what I mean. So when you add the fourth ball, Hilary, then you really need to learn a new pattern. I didn't know that, and so I just tried to go faster and squeeze it in somehow into the mix. But I went back frustrated after the balls were colliding and bouncing all over the place and having no success. Went back to my mentor and I said, this is totally not working. And he said, Dan, you got to learn a new pattern, right? And he showed me with 3 balls, with odd numbers, they cross to the opposite hand. With even numbers, you actually hold them longer. They go back to the same hand. It's actually 2 on each side. They sort of look like they're crossing, but they're really not. Here, I'll give you on this camera over here, right here. Unless you're doing variations, unless you're doing fancier tricks, the basic patterns don't cross. They stay on the same side. So when he showed me that, just like you, I was like, wow, that's really good information. And I tried it again because now I have the knowledge. And this time it still didn't work because I hadn't practiced enough. I hadn't dropped enough. I hadn't put in the intentional struggle. But I started to notice something unexpected. And that was, as I continued to practice with 4 and struggle with that, my 3-ball juggling was getting really, really good. And the truth is, I never really got the hang of 4 until I tried 5. So the point there is, if you think what you're doing now is difficult, it's time to try something harder. And then when you do, the level you were at suddenly seems easier. And that's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how it works. You never master it completely and then decide to move on. You stretch into the uncertainty, and then the uncertainty stretches you. So 5 balls goes back to that crossing pattern, but it's 3 in the air now at all times. And so two things happen in order to make this work. And you kind of saw an indication of this in the opening video. The first is that you have to keep looking up, which sounds very motivational, but it's really very practical because juggling is not about making great catches. It's about making really excellent throws. So you have to understand where you want the throws to go. You have to have a target and then information about whether or not you're on track with the target. So by looking up, you can really monitor how they're coming in. And it's really important in our lives to also have those goals and targets, but also to be able to understand, are we doing what it takes to really put us closer? Do we stay with a process long enough to be able to understand, is it making the right difference? So that's what I mean by looking up. And also, yes, protecting yourself and those around you against the negativity in our world, which is so overpowering and overbearing, and it's easier. It's easier to gravitate toward the lowest common denominator of any conversation or any idea or a pessimistic thought or a sarcastic point of view, when in fact it doesn't serve you. So looking up is about picking the mindset and the perspective that will serve you better in the long run. All right, the second thing is that when you add more, you actually have to slow down and find the space between the throws and the catches. So I have to slow down, not speed up, in order to handle just one at a time. And when you do that, you can begin to see the pattern. Can you see it?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit? Yeah, hold on. Well, hold on. I want to make sure you guys really get this. So I brought with me some technology to help make it more clear.
I love it. Oh my God, we need some music here, David. Or we need something. That's
All right.
amazing.
So what I want you to watch though, Hilary, and I probably should have warmed up a bit, but no, watch the pattern. To watch one of the balls as it arcs back and forth, that infinity sign. Do you see that?
Yeah, I
That
totally
infinite
do.
loop going back and forth.
Yep.
All right. Stopping. Thank you. So it's that infinite loop. And what this means, my friends, is that we're never done. We're always learning that next thing.
Oh,
In never in human history has somebody tried to learn a new idea and run out of disk space because their brain was full. No, we run out of interest or willingness. But the more you learn, the more you can learn. The more you give, the more you can give. The more you move, the more you can move. And so this idea of more is more is so important. And really understanding that you are the primary limiting factor of your life because of this whole thing about comfort. And the reality is, if you limit yourself to what's comfortable, you deny yourself what's possible.
so true.
Right?
So true.
So think about that though. if you limit yourself to what's comfortable, you think you're protecting yourself. You're the one who loses most of all because you're denying you that what you want and that which serves you and serves others. That's just on that other side of discomfort. And so, hey, I'm a firm believer that we need to make ourselves uncomfortable for the right reason, right?
Uh,
And right about now, you're probably really glad this is a virtual conversation, right? Because it's not coming at you 3D live and in person. But again, these are teaching tools. These aren't implements of destruction, because what you've got to learn is even when it scares you, it's about being very specific about what your goal is. In this case, catch the handle, right? And they're all very different. But I can only handle just the next one. And when it's out of my hand, it's also out of my control. So I need to let it go and handle just that one and then the next one. And by slowing down, I can find that measure of control, right? Don't forget to breathe. Keep looking up.
I totally forgot to breathe.
And you got this. Hey,
Bravo.
you never really know where that next challenge is going to come from, which is why, oh, hold on. Okay. I'll tell you what, I'm going to check this out. Just watch this quick video for a minute or so. I'll be right back.
House looks just like mine. Ropes fall.
I
from
love
the
fitness,
ceiling.
solitude, and inspiration, and I love to uplift and encourage others. So here I am at Daybreak, about to head into the woods, not on a bike, but on a mountain unicycle. This physical challenge connects me to my past, yet keeps me in the moment. The woods fill my spirit. I ride while meditating on ideas, listening to the sounds of nature, or to my favorite music or authors. And this combination of choices gives me great joy, knowing at this moment, I am uniquely me.
You are uniquely you. Wait, we can't hear you. Your audio cut out, Dan.
Shay turned me down.
Oh, there we go.
She for the heavy
It's a wife's
breathing when I was
power,
climbing the
Dan.
rope.
It's a wife's power. She's just like,
So
we're
we
done.
know our tour bus goes off road. I didn't know that before.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole idea is, I think people need to lean into their uniqueness and their passions. And with those 5 spheres of juggling, what I really teach are the 5 spheres of life, which is your work, your relationships, your health, your spirit, and your own interests and passions. Mine happen to be these physical activities or juggling or unicycling or whatever. But we all have our uniqueness. It's like inside of us. And if you don't know it, it's like your mission in life is to find it and to develop it and to lean into it. And that's when we unlock not only greater capacity within ourselves, but we can give more to others. And so that's my mission, is to help people find their uniqueness and use it, because that's really the key. I also wanted to show the unicycling, because I know one of your favorite quotes came from my speech.
Yes.
When I was talking about focus and perspective, and I quoted the amazing mountain bike rider Trace Smith, who was interviewed and asked, "Why are you so good racing your mountain bike through the woods?" And he said, "If you look at the tree, you've already hit it, dude." Then he said, "The real key is to look around the tree, to be aware of it, but to keep your focus down the path."
And you know,
so,
I do that to this day. I remember that. I think of that if I'm walking in a tricky situation. It's like your quote pops into my head. So
you got to look around the trees. So
gotta look around.
yeah.
You know what I love about you, Dan, is you don't just teach these things, but you live it. You embrace it. And that even when you do have your hiccups or different things, that, you know, in your weekly newsletter, you put out your video and you talk about whatever challenges that you face, and that you do strive for all the things that you talk about. You're like, you know, like you said, your health, your spirituality, your family, your creativity, your business, your community. So, you know, I love the fact that you actually practice what you preach, which is
Thank you.
pretty impressive. Well, you know what, Dan, since we're sitting here in a tour bus, now I think it's my turn to take you somewhere special. All right. So now, like I said in the bio, you has said you have performed on almost every continent,
That's true. 6 out of 7.
which is pretty impressive. But today I'm going to change it because you have made so many other people's dreams come true. And we
No
get
way.
to grant our guests a magical location. So I'm going to gift you with your seventh continent. David, let's drive this tour bus and take Dan so he can check it out. So let's head off to Antarctica here, where we can go ahead and make all of Dan's wishes come true.
Oh
And I
my
got
goodness.
reincarnated as a penguin. So now you get to perform for the Penguins. You're on, Dan Thurmon.
Hillary and David, you're back there too. Oh my goodness. And hello, Penguins. Hello, Penguins. It's great to see you, and thank you for having me. I know this feels a little bit like a cold environment, but I'm going to warm it up pretty quickly. And I just want to tell you guys, here's the thing. Do you ever feel like you're in an ocean or a landscape of sameness? There's no distinction or no difference between you and everyone else around you. Don't believe it, guys. You are unique. You are special. You have it within you to shine forth, to clap those little
Dan,
hands, to swim through the water, and to be the best penguin you could possibly be.
oh my,
I believe in you, and you should believe in yourself. Now go
Dan,
eat some fish.
I cannot believe you actually wrote a bit for this.
I, I didn't write that, Hillary. That was all just now. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I think you were prepared. So penguins and emperor penguins of Antarctica, Dan is ready to go. He's getting his content material. All right, so it's cold here, so let's go a little bit somewhere prettier in Antarctica. So let's find a nice glacier to sit and chat at. Oh,
Take a
okay.
breath.
You take that. You're the one climbing ropes and juggling battle axes and
Did that really happen?
it's all just a fever dream. But oh my gosh. I mean, it's so much. I mean, you bring back so many memories, and then watching your show and your performance evolve through the years. I know because you have hours and hours and hours worth of material that you handcraft for people, but I love where the origin of your book came from, the off balance on purpose. And I know that it's used as many different explanations, but the story I like is the way you explain that's how you ride a unicycle. And I know it's not quite the same telling the story and not actually demonstrating it on a 6-foot unicycle, but can you tell a shortened
Well,
version?
yeah, and that's another reason I shared that clip earlier, because you saw it in the woods. Is the whole way you ride a unicycle is to lean forward and begin falling. It's like a controlled fall toward your face, followed by the unicycle, so that you don't reach your face ultimately. And that is a really beautiful metaphor for life. But it's when you're in it, it feels so freeing, especially on a unicycle, because you're not touching anything, you're not holding anything. You think a thought, and it's like boom, you lean in, you kind of like shift your weight and go for it. And so that was one of the desires to write the book. But really, what motivated it was being around corporate environments for so long, where people didn't know what they were talking about. They would say, "Yeah, we're totally committed to helping our people achieve balance in their lives.
Or what
It's
does that
important
mean?
to us that they have balance, and we still need them to work 60 hours a week, but we
Mhm.
want them to have a great family too, and we just believe in balance and total wellness." And they
Or the
had no
work-life
plan.
balance. You hear of that a lot.
Yeah, as if your work is not even technically a part of your life, right?
Right, right,
And
right.
it's a vital part of your life. It's where we spend the majority of our waking hours, not only the active time that you're working on things, but the contemplative time. Think about how much time that you're awake, that you're just thinking about your projects. It really can be all consuming, which is
Mhm.
why choosing work that not only inspires you, that doesn't just pay the bills, but you have a satisfaction for doing excellent work, and hopefully having a sense of service or mission or purpose with your work
Right.
is bigger than you are.
And I
I
think
have a
that's why
work-life
creative
blend more than a work-life balance. It's a work-life blend. It's all me.
it is. it's
Yeah,
true. And I
I
think
like
as
that.
creative people that it's always there. Like right now I'm really focused on writing a few scripts, and like it's never not being processed and thought about, where a thought will pop in of something like, oh, and then I can add this, and then I may jot it down, or before I go to bed, or in the shower, or on a walk, where it never goes off. It's not like, okay, between this time I mean, I do have my set writing time, but it's always, it's just part of my life, and it flows. And I think a lot of creative people, even business people, I think there's creativity to that
Oh,
also.
absolutely. And your best ideas for your writing may come when you're not actively writing, right? It's like,
In the
Exactly.
for
shower.
me, yeah, in the shower or when I'm working out or when I'm on a ride or when you least expect it.
Yep. And yeah, or it's interesting, they always say, when you are get up, when you get up from writing for the day, that you leave like a sentence half finished, or you leave on an easy part, so when you sit back down, it's easy for you to finish a thought and then go on to the next.
I like that. That's a good
I
tip.
like that.
I never
It's a
heard
good
that. That's really good.
it's a good one.
Hmm.
Yeah, you always start off with something that's like, oh yeah, I know how to finish that sentence, and then you're already warmed up for the next. But Dan, I love the fact that you have taught your family a lot of your skills. And I did not know this until just a few weeks ago when we reconnected for hanging with Hilary, that you and your daughter Maggie have become a little bit of a TikTok sensation. Like
Okay, but here's the
ridiculous.
thing. I got to correct you on one thing. I can't credit myself at all for Maggie's success in TikTok. This girl is a force of creativity and energy and power and inspiration. And fortunately, she invited me into some of that. And some of the early videos that we did were, dancing together and picking up on our vibe of us just hanging out or
Yep.
doing some comedy and then what began to really click, where as far as we were concerned, was the dynamic that we have. Um, and in a lot of ways, it was really kind of mind blowing because people were saying, I wish I had that kind of relationship with my daughter, with my dad, with my dad. I wish I had a father in my life who really cared about me, which was heartbreaking that that's the reality for so many people.
Right.
And so we're having a lot of fun with it, but we're also kind of representing this stuff together. And when you said we have 3.5 million followers, no, Maggie has 3.5 million followers. I have like 600,000 on my account,
Okay.
but we do stuff on each other's accounts,
Right.
and I've been really honored to be a part of that journey. It's just such a joy.
But you know what's so sweet is that I love that your TikTok handle is Maggie's dad. Like, and she's not Dan's daughter. You are Maggie's dad. And like that says everything that you just,
And Shay's Maggie's mom. I mean, this was
yeah.
really important to her, and it's like I call it lifelines. When you invest yourself in
Mhm.
the things that are important to the people you care about and make it about them, then that becomes really really important. In fact, it was a long time before I posted content of my own because I didn't want to try to do my thing on TikTok. Now I'm doing more of that because I realize, hey, this is an important audience for me to
Yeah.
try to help. Um,
That shows a
but
great understanding of TikTok because to the TikTok audience, you're Maggie's dad. That's that's
Mhm.
and I
that's
want
how
to be
they're going
Maggie's
to see
dad.
you, and
And
that
I've
they love that about you. I mean, that's
and I've scrolled
coming
the
out as
comments
that as
and they're
opposed to
all like,
coming out as Dan. That's
Hmm.
that shows a really smart understanding of the way TikTok works. That's ideal. It really
exactly.
is.
I appreciate that.
Hey, David, can you pull out your phone and maybe
Yeah.
show people
How does
Maggie and Dan's
just
TikTok?
one more quick content about the content because I've looked at these videos
Oh, they're so
and
good.
like everyone else, I see a lot of TikTok. I'm not even on it, but it comes across Twitter and everything else. And yes, juggling, fire eating, unicycles, all that stuff is TikTok gold. But the really cool kid with the really fun dad, oh my god, that is TikTok. That's what's above gold, diamond, platinum. That is, I mean, the stuff you guys doing are great, but that cool kid, fun dad dynamic. Oh my God, I could watch. I could watch. All right, enough. This isn't about me. This isn't about me. Let me bust out my phone and see what we got.
Okay, so this is Maggie's account. Maggie Thurman, 3.5 million followers, and so a lot of this is her stuff. Here's one.
Where you challenge each other.
What color are my nails right now?
Multiple colors:
Can you name 3?
pink, blue, and white. Let's see.
You sure about that?
Yeah. Pink, blue, and
And it was cold that day, right?
yeah, this is the water is 52 degrees.
Okay.
And this is number 20, I think, in a series of these
My
videos.
turn.
Your turn.
What was Mom and I's first dog before you were born? You totally know it.
I don't know which one, because there were 2. I don't know which one was
50-50.
first.
50-50.
Oh, that's terrible odds.
You get it right, you get it wrong.
Romeo!
No, that's not. Gypsy was the first dog. Romeo was the second dog.
So
Gypsy!
people love this.
Gypsy, yeah.
This was like
I
2
said
years
that
ago,
when
and it
you
has
were underwater.
13 million views and
That's
almost 3 million
insane.
likes or something. So I'll show you another one here. This was Maggie had an idea for me to film her skateboarding.
To film a TikTok where I'm skateboarding down a hill doing a little dance.
All right, so you're going to be going down the hill. I'm going to be filming you, but I have to make it look smooth. So I'm thinking I'd be on a unicycle.
Naturally. I'd like to do one more where I don't stop.
Where it looks like it's just cool.
Yeah.
Like you could do it any day of the week, even in temperature like this where it's freezing.
What are you talking about? Why would I be dressed like this if it was freezing? You have to switch it.
Yeah, but you don't have your unicycle.
No, you want
So
the
she said
unicycle.
had the
I'm
idea to
filming.
switch it. Maggie has all the best ideas in our
Here comes Maggie with
collaboration, I have to
unicycle.
admit. So she went and got her
Nice.
her unicycle. And then there's this great wipeout at the end that you'll see
I fell off and my leg got
if you
caught in it like
actually
that.
go to
That's
her
why I
account
fell
and see
forward
the
and
video. Or I go to
rolled.
my account.
Did you see the roll?
So content within content. I tell you,
That's-
she's a genius. Okay,
And-
one more. This one
All
got
right.
picked up by Reddit, and it was a Halloween video.
Oh, I love this one. This
So my
is
dad's
so
kind of sad
cute.
because Halloween is one of his favorite nights because he usually juggles and unicycles for the trick-or-treaters. But we don't really have trick-or-treaters this year, so I'm gonna dress up and pretend to be a trick-or-treater for him. What you doing?
Just checking. Not yet.
I'm walking around the house so he doesn't see me, and I'm in my Tinkerbell costume. Trick-or-treat! Trick-or-treat! Guys, the candy?
Yes, you can have
Can you juggle for me?
Yo, please.
Look how excited you are.
Is that your Tinkerbell costume from like
7th grade? Yeah. Whoa!
Happy Halloween?
Thank you so much. Hey, are you from TikTok?
So there you go. That's some
I
of the fun
love
videos
it.
Are you from
of our
TikTok?
collaboration. And I've got a special treat for you too. You ready for this?
I'm so ready. I'm so
There
ready.
she is.
Hey, celebrity appearance.
It's Maggie. It's Maggie Thurman in the
It's
cozy
2-for-1
cabin.
on Hanging with Hilari.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
so. Hey Maggie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good.
I'm jealous
so-
that I wish I had some TikTok skills. I need to start practicing.
So how many do you do a TikTok every single day?
I try to. I'm also a full-time college student, so it's been a little difficult trying to balance the two, but I usually try to do at least one a day, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you're a full-time college student, but because I've been watching your TikTok, is your dad and mom going to let you drop out of college anytime soon?
All I can say is keep watching to find out. You'll never know what the next TikTok has in store. I definitely will keep asking, so we'll see.
You know, it's an interesting question about college and what role college plays in a journey like this one, because, you know, a good case can be made that if the opportunities that you want are already there for you,
Yeah.
then it's better to actually strike while the
Seize
iron's
them.
hot. So we're figuring some things out, but education is important, and Anyway, stay tuned.
Now, how old were you when you learned how to ride a unicycle, Maggie?
Oh my goodness. Do you know?
I want to say 10, probably 9.
Very young.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
As long as I can remember.
Both Eddie and Maggie learned unicycling and juggling, usually in conjunction with something else they wanted. Like I would say, all right, in order for you to have, what did you get, a scooter or something when you learned to juggle? No.
No, I got a Instagram.
Oh,
Or
Instagram.
no, Facebook.
Facebook,
It was a Facebook.
which,
I
she
don't
lost
get it.
interest in pretty quickly. But anyway, so they didn't want to become like me, which is cool. I didn't want to necessarily have them follow my footsteps, but I wanted them to have the skills because I know how useful those skills are in life. And so, yeah. And Shay, my wife, actually also unicycles too.
I know, I've seen the whole family do it. Now, I have known you so long. I remember when both your dad and Philip have balanced their children when you were small enough in a single palm of the hand and doing that. So you guys have been balancing, I think, before you could walk.
Yeah, basically.
So
That's
no,
a good
what's
way to
funny,
go.
I asked, like, I was like, so have you been interviewed? And you're like, yeah.
A little bit. More and more recently.
So like, what's your favorite part now of getting to do this with your dad? Is it thinking up the TikToks, trying to trick him? What's your favorite part of, and I think I'm gonna have you raise the mic a little bit just so we can hear you a little bit better.
Sorry about
There you
that.
go.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably two favorite parts. One is genuinely how much fun we have, the laughs we have while
Yeah.
doing different skits, while doing
Totally.
dances. It genuinely is so much fun. And I'd say our second favorite part is probably seeing other people also get joy from watching our videos. Like, that's been so cool, because I've had a lot of creators, influencers, whatever in my life who I've grown up watching, and I see their videos and they make my day a little better. And it's so cool and so awesome to be in a position where I can do that for others as well. And I think we both just enjoy that so much. It's so cool.
And you can see that it clearly is so obvious how much fun you guys have and how just that sense of play you have. And that little mischievous thing that you both try to trick each other is just super fun. Now I'm curious, do you have any like big plans? Like, okay, I want to work towards something that you feel like there's something that you're working towards?
Definitely. I'm releasing music in a few days.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's something
Amazing.
we're so excited. Very new for us, very exciting.
That's awesome.
I've been writing music since I was a kid, so I'm very excited to share that. Yeah, I mean,
Acting.
I've been acting since I was a kid and kind of took a back burner to high school, and I
Mhm.
would love to dive back into that, and I'm looking more into that in the future. And yeah, we plan to keep doing more of what we're doing, as well as YouTube a little bit more, expanding platforms, and
Possibly a podcast.
are we allowed to say that?
Well, we're working. I
Well,
mean,
we just
possibly.
said it.
I said possibly.
Possibly a podcast.
Stay tuned.
I guess we're putting that out there. So yeah, that's kind of what the future looks like a little bit for us, as we can tell. so
I
far.
have no doubt that Maggie's highest aspirations, like we talked about in her journey, are going to be so much bigger than what we're doing right now together. But how cool to have this chapter where
Oh yeah.
we get to collaborate and play and kind of emulate like how a supportive collaboration and family functions. And Shay, would you pop in here too?
Come
just to
on
wave
in,
and say hi?
Dave. We get the
Yay.
whole
I mean,
family
come on.
in.
We already got 2. Let's see how many people we can get in this
Come
little,
in the
little
cozy
spot,
cabin. Yeah.
right? In the cozy cabin.
Hey.
So,
I don't know where to look.
this Shay's made us both look way better and more talented and like organized than we ever are. So she's mostly behind the scenes, but we could not do it without this woman right here.
Well, thank you, Shay. You've got and thank you, Maggie. Maggie, I'm totally casting you in my next film. So yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, come
She said
on.
she's in.
She's a quadruple, well, more than a quadruple threat. The fact that come back in for one more second, Maggie, because I just have to say that
I
That
think
all
I
right.
could leave
First of
now.
all, you are fantastic. No. Come back here, Dan, because this is for both of you. Because not only can you act, sing, and you're a phenomenal dancer, like really, really good, but you're a content creator, which means you are a writer as well. You're thinking up these ideas. I saw your 3 a.m. like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. And then yeah, I saw, I like dove deep into your TikTok, and that then you cut to, all right, here's what actually happened. So that's writing, that's creating. So the fact that you've got those skills, where so many actors who are like, oh, I wish my agent would call and give me a job. It's like, no, you're out there creating your own job. Like, that lesson is huge. And so and not only do you do it, but you do it extraordinarily well.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for popping on Hanging with Hilary and coming on
you
and
for having
sharing
me.
your talents and your dad with the world. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much,
Thank
Maggie.
you.
Bonus.
Oh my God. You guys have totally, I mean, that's such a credit to you and Shay, of like both you, Maggie and her brother Eddie, which, people are like,
Yeah,
she
we
has a
didn't even
brother?
talk about Eddie.
Poor Eddie. Does he
No, I
get,
mean Eddie's amazing, and
he
he's
is amazing.
Berkeley guitarist and music producer, and yeah, he does a ton. He edits all my weekly videos. I
And he
miss that
writes the
kid like
music for it
crazy.
too, right?
Sorry?
He writes the music for it too, right?
Sometimes we also use. I mean, we produce that so quickly that, I mean, he's got a full load at Berkeley, which is a hard, like
Oh
challenging
God.
program.
Yeah.
And so he's writing all kinds of stuff, but he and Maggie are collaborating on music, and he's producing some of her stuff. He's playing guitar on some of the tracks that we're releasing soon. So I mean, a lot going on. But
Mm.
what's interesting is that it's everybody gets it. The fact that success is so much more important and valuable when it's shared success and
Yep.
supported success. And so we just, even though it makes things more difficult
Mhm.
to be at this frenzied pace in this chaotic world that we live in, it's so much more rewarding. And I feel like it's the most incredible journey for all of us.
It is truly great watching, like, all the family skills, like dovetailing and supporting each other. And you know what, Dan, I am so happy Maggie did pull you into those TikToks, because like, I love your motivational speaking and your coaching, but it's like, just to see you guys play and unleash that is like
So much
such,
fun.
I love that side to be able,
It
yeah.
helps keep me in shape too. All those dances.
Handstands, climbing in and out of the pool. I saw what you do when you take your dog out. You swing from your bar and your porch, like doing
Wow.
trapeze. Yeah, it's anyway. So it's great. I love that. David, I cannot even believe that an hour has gone by. It has
It's a quick
flown
one.
by.
Really?
I know, so fast. So let's go back to the studio, because I think we need to give Dan a huge round of applause for being an incredible guest. Thank you so much. And if you are still watching, thank you so much for tuning in live. Please hit that subscribe button and notify me when I go live or you go. You know what I'm saying. So that way, because next week we've got the fabulous Joe Milner, who is Hollywood's, now Palm Springs sound designer and sound editor, who has worked on, wait, let me get the number, 155 plus movies, from Vanilla
Wow.
Sky to Scream 2, and talking all about sound design next week. Until then, follow Dan. Dan, where can people find you?
My website is danthurmon.com,
What-
DANTHURMON. And you can even subscribe to my coaching videos absolutely free for this audience. And of course, on TikTok.
On TikTok as
Maggie's Dad 123.
Maggie Thurman and Maggie's Dad 123. And
I tell people, if you really want to get to know me, that's how to do it.
exactly. And David, what's your Twitch? How can people watch you play guitar on
Oh.
Twitch?
You could find me at twitch.tv/boomsomuch.
Boom so much.
Boom so much.
Well, that is about it for tonight. So Dan, thank you again. Thank your family for hanging with Hilari. This has been such a treat to be able to see this and go down memory road with you. So thank you for.
It's been a blast. Thank you, Hilari, and thank you, David.
Thank you. This is great.
I love you so much and I miss you and I'm so proud of everything you're doing. So congratulations. Okay, let's go on, Dee Dee. It's time to hang with Hilari. Until next week, I'll see you. Thanks for hanging out with me.